One of the best things that we know about Assassin's Creed Mirage so far is that it will be making a lot of improvements and significant changes from Ubisoft's most recent AC title, that being Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So I'm going to take you through 10 things that the developers have switched up in this upcoming game so you can really compare the two titles and make a decision on what you like and, of course, what you don't like. And let's start with the map, exploration, and a general gameplay overview first, because as Sarah Bellew, the narrative director, stated in a recent developer showcase, Mirage is not an open world or RPG game, which is exactly what Valhalla is. In fact, Stéphane Boudon, the creative director, summed up the game by describing Mirage as a well-packed, condensed story, which I would compare to Assassin's Creed Revelations or Assassin's Creed Unity. But if you haven't played those games in a while, what does that actually mean? Well, Mark Alexis Cote, Assassin's Creed's vice president, confirmed to IGN recently in an interview that we should expect something in the length closer to our original games, which lasted between 15 and 20 hours. So with that in mind, and Mirage being a game 1/3 the size of Valhalla in terms of content, what can we expect from the world map in terms of size, which takes place in 9th century Baghdad? Well, we have more official info there as well, as Jean-Luc Sala, the art director for Mirage, said to GameSpot that we can expect something as dense as Paris in Unity, with some wilderness to explore outside Baghdad's city walls. And with Unity's map coming in around 2.4 kilometers squared compared to Valhalla's 140 kilometers squared, you can really see the difference here if I just try my best to get the proportions right for you on Photoshop, with Mirage coming in at around 60 times smaller than Valhalla, give or take, but you kind of get the idea there. Additionally, unlike Valhalla, Mirage will have no dialogue choices, with Sarah stating it will be a straightforward story, which also means there won't be any modern day gameplay elements, as Stefan told Game Rant that there will be a cutscene entering the Animus at the start and end of the game to frame the story, but that's pretty much it. Now, you may have heard the notion over the past few months of Mirage being a return to its roots when describing the similarities of this game compared to the original AC games. But what does that actually even really mean, especially if you haven't played the old games and you've only just played the RPG games recently? Well, I think it's fair to say that stealth has taken a bit of a backseat in recent AC games, which is now fundamentally changing in Mirage, as Jean-Luc Sala, the art director, stated again in a developer interview that Basim is not Eivor, and if you do get hit, you're going to die really fast, so you should kill your target and then vanish into the crowd, which is how the developers would like us to play this game, as social stealth has been reintroduced and revamped for Mirage, meaning that we will be able to seamlessly blend and disappear into densely populated Baghdad city streets if there's 3 or more NPCs in a confined area, as well as them introducing a rebuilt eagle vision mechanic where we will be able to identify enemies and allies, with Stefan stating that we'll want to really rely on it when completing infiltration missions, which is another word for black box missions that we most recently saw in the Siege of Paris DLC in Valhalla, with Sarah Bellew elaborating on these new black box missions briefly to IGN recently by stating that they will be in specific locations attached to specific targets, which are within specific missions which you can do your own way. She also mentioned replayability surrounding specific in-game missions, but didn't mention black box missions directly, and I really do hope that we can replay them and try out different routes and kills, because after completing the Siege of Paris black boxes, you couldn't then do them again, which was super disappointing, as they're great fun to do. So fingers crossed that we can replay them again in this game. That said, we also have a new Notoriety or active wanted system introduced into Mirage, which, unlike Valhalla, means that the whole city is aware of our presence and reacts to the decisions that we take throughout the game. A recent example of this in action was from the recent Ubisoft Forward gameplay showcase, where after Basim assassinates a target in public, as you can see here, the notoriety meter in the bottom right hand corner increases by a full bar or level, meaning that more guards will be on the lookout for us in game unless we actively reduce our notoriety meter by removing wanted posters off walls that do reprise themselves from early AC games. Or we can also bribe heralds, which are kind of like town criers of sorts who will sing our praises in public for the right price. Now, the creative director, Stefan Boudon, states that these three distinctive states can only work due to the improved and now reliable, well, we'll see about that, system of detection in Mirage compared to Valhalla, with this level 1 icon, meaning that civilians start recognizing Basim with guards detecting him faster, with this level 2 bow and arrow icon, meaning that archers will then appear on rooftops, as we can see in this gameplay clip after the recent assassination we just spoke about, and level 3 being the cross swords icon, with the whole game presumably being on high alert, where I also presume we will have some sort of elite enemy hunting us in-game, which we'll then have to kill to reset our wanted meter. Now, if you're finding the video insightful so far, you've learned anything new, please do drop a very quick like down below. It does help support me, so thank you very much. And I think now is a good time to mention this, actually, because one of the things I like to make sure I've got activated while I'm in the Animus is NordVPN, which allows me to explore the internet and the memories of my ancestors while I remain anonymous and out of reach of those nosy and pesky Templars. In fact, when you do jump into the Animus yourself and turn on NordVPN, you'll have access to over 5,000 servers, which smokes the competition in terms of data encryption and speed, meaning you won't need to take a leap of faith, I went there, when it comes to securing your personal information online. So if you sign up to a 2-year plan today using the nordvpn.com/AndyReloads link, Nord will chuck in an extra 4 months in for free, an additional discount depending upon where you are in the world, and also allow you to cancel your plan within the next 30 days without costing you any cash if you decide it's not for you. So it's a great deal here, to be fair, which I think every assassin should consider. And cheers to Nord for sponsoring this video and helping me get closer to making content full-time for you on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Now, another change up in Mirage is the reintroduction of the Hidden Ones Bureau system, where we'll need to reopen 4 bureaus in each of the 4 districts of Baghdad, as confirmed by Stefan, who calls these bureaus gameplay hubs, where we can pick up new missions and contracts that will then go on to identify some of the major players in the Order of the Ancients in Baghdad and subsequently begin a black box mission. And we do this by accepting a variety of different missions on this contract board, with the swords presumably meaning clear a specific area of enemies, with the fortress and the hand icon being stealing an item of sorts from that location, and the hidden blade and skull being, of course, to assassinate a specific target. Now, Stefan states that one of the rewards for completing the contracts on this board is a special currency which we can use to hire factions that have multiple uses in game, which I think we get a very quick glimpse of here in this clip if I just pause and zoom in here for you, where there's potential for us to hire this faction and then use them as a disguise of sorts, where we can then infiltrate certain areas without being seen, similar to the old games and what Valhalla originally teased back in the launch trailer, if you just look at this, but never came to fruition apart from the occasional monk escort, which actually was just really kind of a complete waste of time. But yeah, anyway, now Stefan didn't specify what each faction was, but based on previous AC titles, I reckon the feather is either scholars or scientists of some kind, the 3 spears are probably mercenaries, and the green gem, or what looks like a mosque icon, is merchants. But let's just kind of wait and see for confirmation on those 3. Now, as for parkour, Fabian Salaman, the production manager of Mirage, stated in another developer interview that Basim's movements have all been designed from scratch to express what it feels like to be a professional assassin rather than a Viking, with Marco Maresca, the senior game designer on Mirage, stating that all movement animations have been improved from Valhalla to add to that feeling of swift fluidity, which can be seen frequently in the new pole vault mechanic or vaulting over obstacles at high speeds, as you can see here. Now, that said, I really enjoyed hearing your thoughts in the comment sections on the last few videos, with, let me tell you, a lot of polarizing opinions, where some of you think the parkour looks better than Valhalla, whereas a few of you think there's been no meaningful change at all. But I want to bring your attention to a couple clips here from 2 good friends of the channel. The first being AC Videos, who has put together this parkour comparison between Valhalla and Mirage, as well as AC Central posting a great clip on Twitter where he slightly sped up Basim's parkour in the Mirage showcase, and I think it does look even smoother. I'll pop both links to both videos and channels below, of course, so do check them out. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this one, as parkour is a topic that the developer team seem to be pushing as a mechanic that's been substantially improved from Valhalla a lot. So I really do want to hear your opinions on that. Now, speaking of which, combat animations and assassinations are another mechanic that has been revamped from Valhalla, in the sense that, as Jean-Luc Sala states, close combat is not Bassam's thing in this game, whereas the opposite could, of course, be said for Eivor, which may be one of the reasons why we haven't been presented with some close combat gameplay as of yet, because the emphasis on Mirage is to really encourage us to use stealth and hunt our targets, treating combat as a kind of last resort. That said, assassination animations will be completely new, with additional confirmation that assassinations are now one-hit kills in Mirage, whereas they weren't treated as such in Valhalla, where a big brute-sized enemy could actually withstand the Hidden Blade assassination move if he had enough health or you weren't at a certain level. Incidentally, another thing which got a lot of you quite fiery in the comment section was in the gameplay breakdown video, this new ability called Assassin Focus allows Bassam to teleport of sorts between different enemies and instantly assassinate multiple targets in a row after you tag them before you then initiate this new move. Now, the lore or canon justification of this move is yet to be fully explored or stated, but my understanding is that the Animus can't render Bassam's movements that fast because he's actually the Isu Loki, so he's not really teleporting, but he's just kind of glitching through the Animus, with Jean-Luc Sala going on to state that this is a video game, enjoyment comes first, so Mirage won't be 100% historically accurate. So there we are. Now, one thing I'm really pleased that will be implemented in Mirage, which was really lacking in Valhalla, will be the ability to change the colors of our outfits by dyeing them at a tailor or vendor. And we now know this is a confirmed mechanic, as one of the rewards for co-streaming Ubisoft's Forward event is the Oasis Initiate of Alamut dye, as you can see here with this nice visual of Bassam in that colored robes. So it is good news on the customization front there. Now, as for weapons, it also seems that this has been simplified comparatively to the last 3 RPG games, where it seems that we will always have a sword and dagger equipped, meaning that we're unable to equip different weapons and only change the cosmetic look of them and upgrade them back in the bureau for better stats. So I reckon the sword will be used for close quarters combat and the dagger for parrying specifically, as you can see here in this clip. I also want to bring your attention to this word on Ubisoft's UK store when pre-ordering, as it says talisman. Now, as this is a Ubisoft game, I think this will be a similar mechanic to the Division 2's trinket features on an agent's backpack, which were purely cosmetic items in that game. But this confirms to me that it's another slot in our infantry menu, as this is where the Hourglass of Time pre-order bonus sits, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does give us some sort of passive in-game bonus like 5 offensive damage, as just as an example. Now, as for our tools, we pick up 5 new ones here after interacting with our tool upgrade table in the bureau. Now, this tool wheel may look familiar, as it did appear in Valhalla most recently, as you can see here, but of course it isn't being used in the same way here in Mirage, as it was widely a complementary gameplay mechanic in Valhalla, like using your mount or fishing, whereas in Mirage it will be actively used by yourself for a variety of combative centric options. The first one being the fire torch to light your way in dark areas, reprising itself from Valhalla. The second is our throwing knives, which we've seen in action in the gameplay reveal. And our third tool is our noisemaker, which when it's thrown will distract enemies so we can sneak past or assassinate them. Now, our fourth tool is the assassin mines, which we can preemptively lay on the ground, which activates when an enemy steps on it, with our fifth being the smoke bomb tool, which can offer us a quick escape, and our sixth tool being the blow dart, where we're able to disable enemies from range. Now, all of these will be upgradable through specific skill trees in game, altering their purpose, which brings us really nicely onto that topic now, because this is another game mechanic which is differing from Valhalla and by extension Odyssey and Origins, in the sense that you won't have hundreds of different skill points to unlock and choose from, but rather these skill points you do have will only be accessible in 3 specific skill trees, those being Phantom, Predator, and the Trickster, according to Stefan Boudon, the creative director. Now, we don't yet know what each one stands for, as the devs haven't divulged that much as of yet, but we can have an educated guess here about what they are specifically, starting with the Trickster skill tree, which is likely a tools-centric tree where you can upgrade everything we just discussed and change the purpose of a tool, such as altering the effect of the blow dart from a sleeping agent to it being poisonous. I then think the Phantom skill tree emphasizes stealth upgrades such as multi-chain assassination and increasing the effectiveness of Assassin's Focus. And finally, the Predator skill tree being more orientated towards close combat moves like learning a kick in combat, as you can see here. Now, Stefan also noted in an interview with Geek Culture that you won't be able to unlock all the skills in each 3 trees, so you'll have to pick wisely on how you want to build your professional assassin. This is especially so as the Valhalla XP leveling system has been what looks to be removed from the game, as we can't see any sort of XP gain on the UI. So there will be no leveling bar, which lends itself to suggest that you can gain a skill point after every linear mission or contract you fulfill, making those skill points even more impactful as you progress through the storyline. Now, Assassin's Creed Valhalla has grossed well over $1 billion, making it the second most profitable game in Ubisoft history, largely due to the microtransactions in their stores. So I was quite surprised to see the official Assassin's Creed Twitter account state that there is no loot boxes or gambling in the game at all. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be a store of some kind in the game, but I don't think it will be anywhere near the scale as Valhalla, with Helix armor packs releasing every 5 weeks, as there's no plan at the moment for any additional expansions or DLCs in Mirage. And that's because Mirage itself was originally planned as a DLC of Valhalla, and with the game length being approximately 15 to 20 hours long and with no active XP leveling system, I imagine Ubisoft can't really justify or include XP or currency boosts to purchase on the store, as it just wouldn't work, nor flood the main menu with new cosmetics when you're likely to finish the game within 48 hours or so. Now, of course, there's the 40 Thieves pre-order quest and a Prince of Persia Sands of Time cosmetic pack within that pre-order bonus, but I honestly think that's going to be it for this game from what we've been told so far. But what I would say is expect Assassin's Creed Japan, which releases next year, to get back to business as usual in regard to the MTX store, firing on all cylinders. Now, speaking of new Assassin's Creed games, we've got one based in China that's actually arriving very soon, and it's flying under the radar at the moment. So give the video on your screen a click right now to get the full breakdown on what that's all about, and I'll hopefully see you there in just a second. But if you're still here, big thanks to Nika and Peda for helping me research this video, and the Reloads Club for your support every single month. I'm very, very grateful. Coffee actually is on you this month, I think, and I'll see you in that next video.